Honestly, I was kind of intimidated about this interview because a lot of the characters you play are very sh- take no guff, like hard. And I'm like, oh man, we cannot be late to this. We have to be on point.
I know I'm
listen to your
so mean and dark and nasty, and I'm always Miss Bossy Pants. So I always get these roles. I don't know why.
Excuse me, I'm coming down with a little what do we call that?
I don't know, but you're not 6 feet away from me, so keep it.
Oh no. I'm coming down with a little K Roth Banu.
It's more of the words. He's a wordsmith, as we say, a
Yeah.
copysmith, a wordsmith. You know what I'm saying? He gives it to you like, and you don't even expect it.
The film is a funny kind of animal because it's unlike the theater, for example, where you have an audience and you get a direct reaction to whatever you do. In film, you don't. And in fact, you might never actually see the film with an audience or in public. So it's so central and important, I guess, when there is feedback of whatever kind. And if it happens to be an award, that's wonderful.
I asked James once. I said, James, how do you choose the roles that you choose when you're looking at material? He goes, oh, Lila, it's all income. And he would come and say, oh, I haven't earned my paycheck today.
It's all income.
There's somebody that you go back with, like years. You guys go way back, and you know who I'm talking about, Peter Posey. You guys,
Parker.
I'm sorry. Why did we researched this 25 times. And I knew I was going to do this. I had this right 10 times.
I knew you were too. That's why I had it locked and loaded.
Peter Parker Posey, Spider-Man's cousin. All right, whatever. All right, so you and Parker Posey.
Everybody's like, that sucks. And you're like, no, that's just a normal movie schedule.
Yeah.
It's that stupid and weird.
At the end, I had to like kind of make an arrest, but they wouldn't give me a prop gun. So I had to make a choice, like in the moment. So I was like, you stop.
I was so, intimidated. And we had a love scene. So I was like, Mr. Eastwood, is it okay if I stroke your chest here? And he's like, yeah, that's okay. Let's just do it again.
Make my day.
And he said when he was younger, he used to be very shy about, nude scenes and things. And so all the dressers would come around him, between takes and cover him up with towels and all that. And now he said, and now I just, get out of the bed and put on the pants. I'm just an old whore.
Because I can remember sitting in the room with Danny McBride and those guys talking about Wild Hogs 2 and then making fun of me for it. There was actually there was a great moment at Funny or Die are the guys that made Eastbound. And on the wall, the Funny or Die writers had made a list of the worst sequels of all time. And one of them was Wild Hogs 2, even though it hadn't been made. And Danny McBride just started laughing. He's like, oh my God. He's like, that's Brad Smith writing that movie right now or whatever. And they were all embarrassed. Like the Funny or Die people were like embarrassed. But I'm like, I was laughing. I'm like, I get it. Like whatever. It's like, I didn't direct Wild Hogs. It is what it is. And then they erased it. Then I went back the next day and it had been erased. I'm like, why did you erase it? I'm not that guy. Like, who cares? Put it back up there. It's funny.
I think to make a movie like that, you got to have this kind of sincere delusion.
I have to say to you that Matt Damon could not have been more amazing.
I was devastated because most of me was on the cutting room floor.
Oh.
And but given a choice between John Candy and Steve Martin and Lila Robbins, who are you gonna cut?
I mean, Cameron Crowe is sincere, dear, completely emotionally involved in things. I mean, Milos Forman makes directing look like it's as easy as getting out of bed and just going to get a cup of coffee. I mean, it's just the guy makes it look easy as hell. And I have a really funny story about how he learned about that. Bob Zemeckis sees the whole movie in his head before he shoots it. He's got it in his head. He can play it like a movie. He can close his eyes and play the scene he wants to shoot and run it like a movie. He can see everything. Sidney Pollack is on the edge of suicide before he starts the movie. He's so panicked and scared and nervous. And he's a hyper-responsible person. And then he's the dad on the set. He's the guy who knows everything about everybody's job and tells them so.
I mean, I did talk to her bodyguard about whether he'd take a bullet for her, but and he was going on. He's saying, well, prevention is better than cure. So
Wow.
It depends where.
He comes out and he goes, "Hey, Mike, I've decided the brother drinks." And he pulls out a flask and he just takes a sip.
You know how it is. It's just really hard no one wants to take the risk of that kind of thing going viral. But Coffeetown existed in the last moment before things went viral. So we got to do all those things. But that's also, I think, one of the reasons that you don't see Coffeetown on Netflix and things like that. I think they watch it and they're like, whoa, no way.
I just say love the craft. Don't give up. Things can always change. I mean, in The Blacklist, I'm like breaking people's necks and shooting people. You know, who knew that I would be an action figure at my age? I mean, come on. I mean, strange shit happens. It's crazy.
Right. So Steve Martin's watching you make out. That's like, there are people out. You realize there are people out there today that would probably pay Steve Martin to have him watch them make out with their girlfriend. That's good on you, man.
Well, they both, you know, that brings up another interesting point. Both Steve Martin and John Candy stayed in role, whether they were on the camera or off the camera. So I got kind of the impression that Steve was kind of a prick, and he isn't. He's a very nice guy.
And then as soon as they would yell cut, he'd be like, "Damn, G, you make me want to do ayahuasca!"
Chris Walken was so funny. I, as the young character who was in love with his character, I touched him a lot in rehearsals, you know, because that was my bad actor habit of like, oh, I'm in love with him. And he'd go, Lila, you hit me again, you touch me again, I'm gonna have to hit you. And after rehearsal, he'd lean over and go, "This is gonna be a disaster." Oh my God, my iTunes started again.
Glenn goes up the ladder on the side of a building to get to the roof where his feet stick in or whatever. So the stunt, we didn't have a stunt guy, but just like the props guy, he's like, "I'm going to show you how to go up this ladder." He starts going up the ladder and the ladder comes off the side of the building. It's like going like this. And I'm like, thank God, like he was okay and he fell, but he was okay. But I'm like, thank God that wasn't Glenn. Like if you hadn't gone up, like stuff. So all of that just became this crazy whirlwind.
And somehow the word had leaked out that we were filming, and they all wanted to come and see, you know, Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. So Dustin is very outgoing. He jumped out of the trailer and said hello to everybody and signed autographs and just so dear. And Tom wouldn't come out. And I think he was busy. It wasn't, I think. But Dustin, being Dustin, grabbed everybody and went over and surrounded Tom's trailer and said this chant, "Tom Cruise, come out, Tom Cruise, come out." All these people are saying this, you know, and finally Tom comes and they burst into applause and he's like grinning and he's signing autographs, you know, and Dustin goes by me, so I'm teaching how to be a star.
Here we go into the wild blue yonder. Here we go up and away.
In the car, I would be with Aaron Taylor Johnson, John David Washington, sometimes Matthew Marsden. A couple times I was in the car with Robert Pattinson, and we'd hop in the SUV, all of us together, and we'd be an hour and a half drive. Depending on the type of shoot we did that day, sometimes we'd be exhausted and we just lights out the whole ride. And then sometimes we'd sit there and chat it up the whole ride.
Mike, I could talk to you all day about The Living Wake, and I won't do that, though, for the sake of my having to get this edited before Thursday, and I'm sure you have things that you've got to get to. But this has been...
It was fun to talk about. Thank you.
Well, however you felt when you met Adam Sandler, that's me. That's me now.
Oh, well, I really appreciate it. I'm
His
so glad you
nipple is
enjoyed
going
it.
hard. If you cannot see it, his nipple is coming out through the shirt.
Angela Bassett's watching me. I've got to really bring this, and she thinks I'm just a stunt guy and all this. So I start preparing, and now I'm crying, and I got the snot bubbles and the whole thing, and I'm all there, and I've got my head down like this, and all of a sudden somebody comes over and touches me on the shoulder, and I hear this voice, and it says, "Okay, when the camera comes around, I want you to kick." And she goes, "Oh, you're preparing. I'm sorry," and she walks away. And so now in my head, I'm thinking, this is the greatest moment as an actor, that Angela Bassett comes over and goes, "Oh, you're preparing, I'm sorry," and walks away. But I can't revel in it, because as soon as I do, I'll dry all up and think, oh, I'm hot shit and all this stuff.
This project, you gotta understand, was like top secret for a long time.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God, I had so much fun. And I think you're onto something, you two of the exotic names, Torian and Durden. When you wrote to me, I mean, I don't know why I said yes, Durden, but there was something about your name that was like, what is this Durden?
She wouldn't have responded to David, but Durden got through.
But David is the Well, thank you very much for responding. And yeah, I hear you. I don't know why people are responding to me when they do either. I'm just as flabbergasted. So thank you very much for responding, and I hope you have a happy holidays and safe. Find us in all these links. It's coming up right now.
Why don't you subscribe? It'll last longer.